The third game in the Arkham series is coming out tomorrow, and like a lot of people, I'm rather excited by this. I actually pre-ordered my copy some time ago from a third-party site, and it seems I was joined by roughly 400,000 other people. Some of these third-party sites are even offering the game at huge discounts on the day before release, which does seem to be one way for publishers to avoid the tsunami of returns on Steam pre-orders when releasing broken games. Because in an age when pre-ordering games is essentially offering to pay to be a beta tester, there really has to be a huge caveat emptor attached to all of that. However, in the case of Batman Arkham Knight, I'm fairly confident based on the prior Rocksteady games that I'll have a fairly good time. Now, in spite of this hope, that doesn't mean that AAA publishers haven't already found a way to break people's hearts. We've already heard of disappointment by the Batmobile edition of the game being cancelled. It seems that Warner Brothers, EA, or anyone will find any way they can to make their customers suffer. And note, I do call this the third game in the Arkham series. Rocksteady, the people that made Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, created incredibly detailed worlds filled with nuance, hidden collectibles, lore, character development, and awesome writing, as well as teasers for future games. And in fact, one notable Easter egg in Arkham Asylum didn't get revealed until after Arkham City had come out. Warner Brothers didn't do so good a job. Arkham Origins was a fairly derivative experience that added little more than a longing for the variety of gameplay and quality of storytelling from Arkham City. Even though I played Origins far more recently than City, I only vaguely remember the story. I actually read a synopsis online for Origins before I wrote this, and I realized there was a bunch of stuff I forgot. I suspect that a lot of this had to do with the absence of Paul Dini's writing for Origins. This actually also showed in the Harley Quinn DLC from Arkham City. His absence from the writing duties in Arkham Knight also gives me a bit of worry. The first two Arkham games were filled with villains with actual motives to do whatever it was they were doing. They were each placed in their settings with deliberate care that revealed consideration and love for the world that was being used, and kept in mind where these characters were going to be going. Origins, on the other hand, devolved everything down to just stupid greed. Why was Deadshot there? Money. Copperhead? Money. Deathstrike? So that they could have a cameo for Amanda Waller at the end of the game. I will admit that the Mad Hatter's inclusion was one of the few instances of playful storytelling that added to the richness of the world and the experience that it offered, rather than drowned it. He may have had a silly reason to be there, but it was very characteristically Mad Hatter's reason for being there. Arkham Origins was also a very sausage-heavy game. We had Shiva, who seemed like a Talia clone for those people who are unfamiliar with the comic books, and Copperhead, who was gender-bent for the game. Neither character, though, ever seems like they matter much. Copperhead, again, is essentially a one-shot encounter there because she wanted money. And Shiva's interplay was essentially as richly done as Zaz's was in Arkham City, which is to say, not really. By comparison, Arkham City managed to have a playable Catwoman, who actually ends up saving the day when Batman gets damseled. Both of the two Rocksteady games had Harley and Poison Ivy as significant characters who affect the story in major ways, even if Harley is still taken down by essentially a bitch slap in both of them. While you could grumble that Talia never does anything major on her own, and even has to be rescued, everyone in Arkham City gets taken down at some point in the game, except the Gordons. And I'm not really sure I count Talia's kidnapping as a strike, as it's the Joker, man. It's the fucking Joker. None of this, however, is to say that Arkham Origins was a bad game. Far from it. While I may not remember much of the game, I do remember enjoying it. Not enough to have played the DLC, but I did enjoy it. On its own, divorced very heavily from the multiplayer that Splash Damage assumed guild for. It was a perfectly decent story, with mostly recycled mechanics tarred by an I win button. The detective mode present in the game was just often enough used to make you think that they gave up on the idea midway through. It got implemented as sort of a quick time event that moved glacially slow and didn't mind if you got distracted. To me, it never really felt like a Batman game. There was little focus and a bunch of too big cameos, like a horrible love child with Spider-Man 3 and Batman and Robin, but with less bad dancing or rubber nipples. While I don't think Arkham Knight is going to have as hard a time filling its shoes as the next Metroid Prime game will, it's interesting that Devil May Cry 4's remake is coming out on the same day. Devil May Cry is also a beat-em-up, much like the Arkham games, and even had a relatively poorly received predecessor. Now, those of you who pre-ordered both, good luck making the choice on which game you're going to be spending time with first. I'm not really sure how much it matters either way, because neither one has Selena.